Special thank you to Seed and Stone Cidery and Lucky Buzz Meadery for sponsoring the show today. They help to make this show possible and supply us with the occasional beverage when we're out there. They've got 10 taps full of meads and ciders made right there in-house. They've also got all sorts of awesome events going on, including an open mic almost every single Thursday where you can come out and show your musical talent. So all you songwriters out there, stop out and grab a cider or a mead and tell them that the Songwriters Couch and the Patrick Joanne Band sent you. Again, Seed and Stone Cidery right here in Rochester, New York. Go out and visit them and let them know we sent you. Thanks, guys.
All right, welcome to episode number 26 of the Songwriters Couch, and we've got a very special guest today that I'm going to announce in just a moment because I got told that I shouldn't announce the guest before I say my other things by my lovely producer, Allie, that now has a microphone. Say hi, Allie. Say hi into the microphone. Now you can actually hear her. So on today's show, again, we've got a special guest. I want to thank our sponsors before we get started here. I want to thank everyone that watches and listens and downloads and does the likes and the subscribes and the comments and likes and things like that, and continue to do that. I'm going to have a graphic that suddenly appears down here at some point. It might be on this episode, and our guest might be privileged to be on the first episode to have that if I find the time to create a graphic and put it on there. And now we can go to the wide shot and reveal our guest, Miss Casey Arthur, also known AKA Miss Casey, on the show today. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience here? Let's give a round of applause. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, of course.
It means the world to me. Anytime I get a chance to talk about art, culture, music, and connection, I'm pretty much right there for it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm an interdisciplinary artist. My primary thing is painting and human rights actions. And I also play music and I write, and I'm a founder of a nonprofit arts organization called Muck Duck Studio. And we're a big collection of artists because I don't know any creative who just does one thing.
Yeah.
We're all multidisciplinary.
Yeah, we're like a cloud of creative tornadoes, typically. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess we can get right into it after. I know where we're at. Don't worry, I got it by now. We're on episode number 26 now, so I'm a seasoned vet at this now. But we got our new thing that I keep promising like graphics and all this stuff, but I'm too lazy, Casey, because I prefer to just do the art stuff and then be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do all this like technical stuff after the fact, and then I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna put it out there to the world, and then everyone can just judge it and say, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that, and then I'm just never gonna do it and keep saying that I'm gonna do it. But it's two truths and a lie. Two truths and a lie. So you're going to say three, and I'm doing air quotes for those who are just listening and not watching us, but you should watch us also on YouTube. Three facts that apparently you prepared weeks in advance now, and we'll get into why weeks in advance you've prepared these three facts. But three facts that are not all facts. One is a lie, and I'll try and guess which one is the lie out of them. Now, I don't know you well, Casey, so this is going to be extra difficult for me. Now, I will say this. I believe we were in each other's presence, I believe multiple times, but I don't think we've ever actually had conversations. So I believe one of those times, were you painting at Denali's show? This was a while back. Was it
Abilene?
It was Love and Cup.
Yeah. When was that? That must have
Someone was painting. Someone was juggling at that one. At that show.
I don't think that one was me.
No? Okay,
No.
someone is live painting
Yeah.
during that. So that's why I thought maybe it was you, but
Me and Denali have worked together.
okay.
So you're not wrong.
All right, so it's possible, but I know we've come across each other probably in passing. So, all right, let's start with the 3 truths and a lie, and then we'll talk about why you prepared so far in advance after the fact. You ready, Allie? All right, let's do it.
Okay, are you ready? All right. Number 1, my favorite music album right now is only played on cassette, and it was recorded in 1921.
Oh.
Fact number 2, I was once lost in the Grand Canyon for 3 straight days.
Oh, man.
And fact number 3, I once lived in a canoe for like a while, floating down the Mississippi River for like multiple weeks at a time.
Canoe.
Lived in the canoe.
That canoe life. Hashtag canoe life. Hashtag canoe life. And it changed to the canoe life. What was the first one again?
1921
Cassette recording. What was the music?
The blues. Mississippi
Okay, so
John
blues.
Hurt.
Okay. And the second one was
Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon.
Lost in the Grand Canyon.
in the Grand Canyon. Now, surprisingly, I've been a lot of places all over this wonderful United States country. Grand Canyon, I've never been. I've passed by it, flown over it a bunch of times. Never actually been there, though, to see it. So,
Follow-up question?
are we allowed follow-up questions? Is that part of the
Yes.
rules? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I'll give you
In
a
the Grand Canyon?
One.
the Grand Canyon.
Why? Would you consider around the Grand Canyon to be a...
I do feel like that matters. It does matter. And I'm not playing any tricks. I'm not trying to bamboozle nobody.
Oh.
Very straightforward.
I'm easily bamboozled.
I might ruin my run of being right, but I'm going to go Grand Canyon.
Ooh. All right. As the lie. I'm gonna go with cassette. The first one, and you know why I'm gonna go with cassette. I'm gonna go with cassette because it's. You heard that, right? That pop. No.
briefly, but I don't know if it was technology.
All right, maybe it's just louder in my ears. It's very loud. I'm going to go with cassette because it's such a easy, like a mundane thing. Like, oh, you have a cassette of something, of a recording, right? I'm going to go with cassette. All right, and you're going with Grand Canyon. All right, let's do a drum roll before you reveal. Miss Casey, what is the lie?
I have never been lost inside the Grand Canyon.
Oh my, Allie, what is that, like 5 for 5 that you're at now?
It's like a thousand.
Yeah, you've gotten. Have you gotten every single one?
I think that you and I should just start betting on this.
Yeah, I think so. No, I don't think we should. I think that would be bad for me, Casey, if I started betting on a thing where I've gotten everyone wrong and she's gotten everyone right. Right? That would be a bad bet. So how first of all, how are you living in a canoe? And was it the Mississippi River you were living in?
Yeah.
By yourself, or were you with a family of raccoons as well living in?
We called ourselves river rats for sure because we looked absolutely homely.
Yeah.
It was my
Well, I
friend.
wouldn't imagine a lot of bathing facilities aside from the river, obviously.
Yeah, we lived on the boat for, I think we made it over 300 miles, 500 miles, something like that.
Wow.
After a while, we stopped counting.
Yeah.
But it was a friend of mine named Dana, and her and I were what I called fun employed for a summer. And
That's awesome. I was fun employed at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, I was fun employed, and I decided, well, where can I live for like $25 a week? And that answer was on a boat, in a canoe, on a river that only had one direction.
So where did you start from somewhere and end, or was it kind of like you went back up, back down?
There's no fighting that current. Once you go downstream, you're staying downstream.
Did you end up all the way in the Gulf?
We started in the Twin Cities, and we intended to get to the Gulf, but actually a bunch of hurricanes had come through.
Yeah.
And water was rising, and I actually ended up getting really sick with a kidney infection.
Oh, my.
I mean, we lived on a boat, and every night we slept in tents, except one night. Oh, man. One night we got torrentially downpoured on, and we were like, okay, we either squat in this public bathroom or we like stay up all night and we just wait for daybreak, but all our gear was wet. So my friend, she squatted in this like public bathroom at this like campground, but we didn't know where we were because it was pitch black when we had docked.
Right.
And the police came to arrest her for trespassing, but hear me out.
Yeah.
By the time we explained to them what we were doing there and how we got there, they took our photos, published us in the newspaper, and sent us on our way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a total turn. So
yeah, I've had a lot of nights like that too. Waking up I once woke up in a car with my friend John, and we had woken up in the middle of the night, some campground, and we had apparently fallen asleep and forgotten that we had left the windows open in the car. And, we woke up to like, man, where did we fall asleep? Turned on the light, and there was just thousands of mosquitoes all circling around this. You heard that, right?
I heard that.
I don't know where that's coming from, but it might be coming from maybe that, because it's the first time I'm hearing it. Maybe turn that off for now. You gotta press and hold it. Turn it off. It did, okay. But yeah, thousands of mosquitoes and
hordes of them.
It was crazy.
I actually put Listerine on my skin to keep them off of me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did it work?
It did.
The Listerine? Yeah, because I guess the alcohol, right?
Total deterrent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was wild.
So what's up with the tape then from 1921?
I'm obsessed.
Obviously, it wasn't recorded on a regular...
Yeah, it was a live show. It was a live show recorded.
Huh.
I don't know if his original album was recorded in 1921 and then transferred to cassette.
It would have had to have been, because the compact cassette tape wasn't invented until it was like in the 70s or
something
60s,
like
something like that.
It was the same guy, and I got one of his live shows recorded, which I personally find super cool, because in the background you can hear the audience laughing.
Yeah.
And I drive a 2001 Eurovan. Big maroon art mobile.
Yeah.
And it only plays cassettes. So I bought a bunch, and man, this guy, Mississippi John Hurt, he totally stole me.
I have a cassette. I'll give you a cassette. Our latest album we put out on cassette too, so I'll give you one of those. Because not many people have cassette players to actually be able to play it. So I made like 10 of them. So there's very few people that actually own our album on actual cassette. I made a bunch of like USB drives that look like cassettes, so that they can get the feel. Oh, this is cool. It looks like a cassette. And then I made actual cassettes for the people that actually have cassette decks. So I'll give you.
I actually have a cassette deck.
I hope I still have one, because I'll give you one for sure. But as Nas says, as long as your shit don't eat tapes, I'll give you one. Then I'll give you a cassette, Casey. So, what got you into the blues? Were you just always a blues girl, or what?
Blues and gospel, they ride the same fine line, and I think it's pressured by something, or motivated by something that I very much relate to, overcoming adversity. And a lot of the songs sung in the blues or through gospel are like, how do we overcome? I'm broke, I'm sad, I lost my girl, I got no money, I'm drinking. How am I going to get through to tomorrow?
Yeah.
And then, on the more grave side, it's songs are a way to preserve a culture when a culture is being abrasively attacked, whether through, silencing methods or cultural erosion. I think that the one thing someone cannot steal from you is your voice. or your poetry or your lyrics or your songs. Like someone could steal my painting and the world may never see my painting again, but they would never stop me from singing.
Yeah.
I don't sing, by the way. That's kind of silly. Like, you don't want me to do that, but...
Well, what's funny about that, and it's probably a very extreme version of that, but, you have the old, the songs that, during slavery and stuff, they used to sing, the
anthems,
the old hymns and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But even during, in the Soviet Union, the gulags, right? Do you know who, what was his name? He wrote the Gulag Archipelago. I forget his name now. But he had written that entire book. It's a giant book, but he had written it like in his head while he was in the gulags in the Soviet Union, what are those, the frozen tundra. What is the name of those?
The Siberia?
Yeah, in Siberia or whatever. Written it, memorized this book, and then when he got out, wrote the book down from memory, like basically his words and his art or whatever had written it down after the fact. And no matter what, they couldn't. Is it Solzhenitsyn? Are you trying to? Theodore Solzhenitsyn.
Alexander.
Yeah, Solzhenitsyn. But he had written about his like time in the gulags or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And no paper to write stuff down on. Nothing but his mind, and wanted to share his experience of kind of being there. But do you find that it helps in your life to share your art? Like, why do you make art?
I make art to keep myself sane and sober emotionally. Like emotional sobriety is.
I'm what you call Californian or LA sober.
LA sober.
Is that what it is? That's what it's called. When you still drink and smoke and you still do a little bit of everything, but you're
Yeah.
I say I'm sober. That's
balance is cool.
That's right.
Yeah, when I say sober, for me,
I eat salads every once in a while. That's what LA sober is.
My thing is emotional sobriety. One might never pick up a drink or a drug or a way out, but they might still be drunk between the ears, not quite straight with themselves, So I keep myself painting because it's construction, and when I'm constructive, I'm far less likely to be destructive, and art is not meant to be judged, really. I've moved away from some of that. I know a lot of fine artists who are highly critical of art and fine art. But for me, art for the sake of art is about self-expression. And I think that when people like myself are expressive through art, we're far less likely to be a destruction to ourselves and others. Because we've picked up something and we've just decided to channel it somewhere outside of us. My mama used to say, you got to give your pain a new place to live. Got to move it out through the body, out through the hands, whether through your guitar or canvas. I don't think it matters. But now it lives somewhere else. It's not in here. It's out there.
Yeah.
And then ironically, someone buys it and puts it in their living room.
Yeah. Well, not. Yeah. But do you find that to be? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about them buying it and putting it in their living room?
Neutral now. I used to be a lot more charged, but I've decided to let a lot go. I think my life's too short.
What do you mean? What do you mean by charged? Like, do you feel like you put an undue amount of like currency into whether or not they thought it was good?
Sure. I mean, the self-judgment is the big one. It's a big cost, whether money's involved or not. The judgment of, well, do they really know what they're buying? Do they know why they're buying it? Are they just trying to make me feel good? Do they even care? Do they even know where this came from? And I just decided, you know what, Arthur? Shut up. Like, who cares? Maybe they know exactly why they're buying it. And maybe I don't have to know. Maybe a person who can buy art just wants to make their own choices. Maybe it's as simple as that. Not everything have to be so complicated and abstract. I tend to make things super lofty to the point where they're almost non-relatable to the present moment that I'm in. Because my artist brain just has me in a daydream like all the time. All the time. Speaking in poetry. People are like, what are you trying to tell me?
So there's a couple of things that you made me think of. One was Andy Warhol, of all people. You know, his art. I'm not a big fan of his, but he had that quote that says, you know, while you know, let the critics criticize art while they're criticizing your art. Keep making more art. Just, you know, that's your job. Just keep making art. Don't worry about what, you know, let the critics criticize. But I think too, I've over the years of making music and making things that you put out into the world, there's an amount of, I guess, decoupling my art from myself personally, or from my personality, or becoming somewhat emotionally detached from it, and letting the person that's what would that be called? Ingesting my art, decide
Consumer.
what it means to them. Mm-hmm. Because I'm sure I've listened to music, and I've this actually has happened 100%, where I've listened to music or I've looked at art and I've had an understanding of what it is, or I've listened to music and I thought it meant something that the people that made it, that's definitely not what they intended by it, but it meant something, and it was important in a period of my life, let's say, that it was exactly what I needed, even though the people that made it didn't intend for it to do that, right? And so I kind of feel, and from doing this show, like it comes from someplace other than me, and so it's this sounds real. That you talk about, like,
We're gonna go there.
going ethereal and whatever, but it's like it's just coming through me. It's not really me creating it, although I kind of am, because I'm developing like a language to be able to have it come through me by practicing a guitar and me singing and writing and developing the skill set to be able to speak it. It's like a language, but it's not mine, you know. But I'm putting it out there, and it's for the world, I guess, to,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's self-aggrandizing or whatever, but it's not really. It's like it's if someone's listening to it and they take it a certain way, like you said, putting their piece of artwork in their living room, even if it is they're doing it because they want you to feel good. Maybe when they look at it, they're like, I bought that person's art and it made them smile when I bought it, and maybe it does bring them a little bit of joy looking at it to think that they did that, if that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what you're getting at is what I'm calling loving detachment. I, with love, am detached from the piece of art, as I am not the art, though I made it. That art might be of me, but it's not mine. And an artist may have had the same idea a million times in a million different brains. Different people might have had the same idea, but when an idea is ready to be had into the world, an artist will just be prepared to do that. And none of it is about us or from us necessarily, but through us, as we are the hands of a collective experience. Yeah.
Yeah, we got real deep
Abstract.
there.
That's my
All of a sudden.
brand. That's my brand. I can chill out.
No, but
Thank you, Seed and Stone.
But one other thing about that too is that, okay, so I just lost my train of thought already. So you've got people, you've put it out there into the world, and I lost it. Fuck it, scrap the whole thing.
It's the
cut
abstract.
it,
Blame
get rid
the
of
abstract.
it. Get rid of it. No, but like I want to get into a little bit more, because you kind of have a business too, and I used to own a business as well. And I'm gonna maybe you can cut to that, Camry, over there real quick, so I can pour myself a little bit of this here stuff that's not necessarily from our sponsor. So, but but your business there actually helps to I guess curate artists' creative process. to some extent.
You're talking about Muck Duck?
That's right, Muck
Oh,
Duck.
God bless.
So I do want to get into that because that's in and of itself, like you're not making the art necessarily in that instance, right? You're like curating the environment for art to be made. So like one, I guess, how did that come about?
You want to know about Muck Duck?
I do want to know about Muck Duck.
Let me tell you about Muck Duck.
And then how did it, how does it evolved for you, and what is it, what did you think it was going to be, and what is it now?
Yeah. So it took me a while to get down to the core nugget of what our mission and vision is, because as an artist, there's a lot of words to describe art, especially visual art, which often doesn't need words to be expressed. Abstract art doesn't have objectiveness. So Muck Duck was my very physical, literal idea that required words and structure and support and resources and time management, all those very literal entrepreneurship skills. Except I did it all for the purpose of supporting other people and myself to connect with other people and themselves. Like, our goal is to connect people to themselves and others through art. Our whole thing is about connection. And I would say Muck Duck Studio is hyper collaborative. We're very community oriented. We want to work with everyone and provide a lot of opportunities. And we believe that connection and creativity go absolutely hand in hand. I mean, how many days in a row do you sit with the same creative block before you're like, F it, I'm going on a walk, I'm calling a friend, I don't know. Sometimes people just give up on their art when they have a creative block big enough. That seems like a travesty, because all you really need is 3 other creative people to jog your ideas. Before you know it, you're all onto a new thing.
Yeah, I tend to just completely ruin my life, and it really stirs things up, and then, it works.
That's some artist thing right there.
Yeah, well, sometimes unconsciously it happens, on its own.
It's usually subconscious. It's like, I don't know why I hate myself today. It's like I got an idea that's stuck in the back of my head, and I can't get it out.
But where did the name come from? Can I ask
See,
that?
if I knew how many people would ask me that, I would have given it way more thought.
Was it just a...
It just landed. It was just a phrase. It was just a name for our headquarter art space. I mean, we moved in 2020, and I say we, it was just myself. I started in a solo studio, 500 square feet, no running water, no windows. At the time, I was living out of a backpack, didn't have an address really, just moved home from Asia, and the pandemic had thrown all of my global plans out the window, and I decided I would do art for 2 weeks, because that 2-week period turned into 4 weeks, turned into 6 weeks. 6 months later, we've got a very awkward blur of time. So I moved into the studio to make art, and then I decided that the world was struggling with isolation before COVID, and then COVID kind of pushed everyone into their own oblivion, and that pushed some people into oblivion to realize they needed connection again, which is where we came in, Muck Duck. So we grew, we expanded twice in under a year. We went from 1 person to 3, from 3 to 5, and from 5 to 12. And now we have a team of 20.
Oh, wow.
And I wasn't prepared for that kind of growth, to be honest. But it was really good. And it's still beautiful to be a part of.
Do you feel like you've been disconnected kind of from like the day-to-day stuff a little bit? Like you have more...
I would say I feel very connected in the programs I'm a part of. I know why I do what I do. It's no longer... I used to be kind of like blind and like happy-go-lucky, skipping through life with a high degree of bliss and ignorance. And now I just know too much. I've seen a lot. And now I'm just happy to be a part of things and have somewhere I can say I belong just as much as everyone else is grateful they have somewhere they belong. I mean, it's mutual.
Yeah.
We just gas each other up. Like, thank God that we made it this far.
What kind of events and what kind of things can people expect? And why don't we tell people too, like where can people see what's going on there? And then two, where is it? Because we got people not only here in Rochester, so if people want to kind of, are going to visit Rochester or whatever from outside of
Please
here.
do come visit. We have a great city for that.
Where would they find, and like what kind of things are you getting up to?
We're currently located over at the 595 Blossom Business Center, which is over on Winton and University in Rochester, New York.
Oh, you were right by Muller's.
Oh yeah.
Cider House.
Oh yeah, very close. We're very close to Artisan Works, the museum downtown.
All right.
And then we're up on the 3rd story floor of the Blossom Business Center, which is cute because we took a very real office building in a very real office setting and turned it into an art studio.
Right.
So people will walk through this very corporate space with a corporate mindset, and then they'll walk through our front door. And
do you have a dress code where
No.
people have to wear a button-up shirt and khakis?
I'm waiting for the day. I'm wanting to launch a merch line of sweatpants and a hoodie, and I want it to be just a jumpsuit of comfort. Like, our brand is cozy, comfy, intimate, and artsy. I mean, picture in your head disco dream tech. Like, you're in the clouds, everything is navy blue or hot pink or fuzzy and soft and warm.
You ever do a little dance, like a dance?
Yeah, right
Dance
now.
party there?
Right now, every other Sunday, some Saturdays, we do freeform movement with waxing waters.
Oh.
And they're really about bringing people's minds away from their brains and into their bodies. We call that somatic practice. Muck Duck is really big into somatic practice, music, visual art, and environmentalism. That's like our core 4.
I struggle with getting out of my head.
You and a drove of others. You're not alone.
Yeah, I feel like it takes a lot to shut off my brain from going a million miles an hour. So I do things like this. This is the only time I'm actually like, just when I'm doing things, it's when I'm focused solely on one item, let's say. Otherwise, if I'm not in the midst of a project or something, there's a million things going on. All right, I got to get on to the next thing. So what does that involve? Do I have to sit on a pillow or anything?
If you want, that's certainly one method. The cool part about somatic, which is ancient, by the way, Muck Duck's not doing anything new. We're just bringing back what was forgotten, maybe, or buried. Soma relates to everything of the body distinctly separate from the mind. So in a lot of cases in our culture, we have people who's got brains going like this, like all the time. Like the monkey is on the wheel and it is running, and it's probably on caffeine or other medications that keep it going. Stimulants, you know.
Yeah.
And so when you come to Muck Duck, a lot of people are like, I don't know how to be calm. I don't know how to be quiet. My nervous system doesn't know how to chill out because it's used to being cranked up to 10 or like 8.5 all the time. We're always stressed out about a little something, even if it's a background thought. What's going to happen in 5 years? What's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen later tomorrow? Did I park in the right spot? Did I eat? Did I forget to eat? Did I feed my kid? Oh my God, I have a cat. Did I leave the stove on? You know what I mean? And before you know it, you aren't even here anymore. You're already gone. So when Muck Duck says it focuses on connection, it brings intentional programs to the space, and then we offer it as an opportunity to the participant where they can choose to come in and then take that first step into separating their mind and then entering their body on purpose. It's easy to engage the brain, but the brain is actually the last thing to know what's up, really. I mean, the body knows way before the brain can wrap its head around things.
Yeah, it's just stressed and feeling bad and whatever. You know what's interesting about that too? I feel like it's a symptom of modernity, right? Of like where, like the way modern life is set up is, it's almost like there's no point of satiation. There's no point where there's enough. And so what you end up in is this constant like stress of like, I need to get to this next thing and then I can have time with my family and relax and spend time with the people I love and do all this sort of thing. There's always this next thing, and everyone's constantly, especially in America, everyone's constantly in this wheel. And so the stress doesn't necessarily come from the outside environment. It comes from an internalized we're getting real deep here.
This is like my brand.
We're
When I
coming
tell
from,
you this is all my conversation.
it comes from this internalized version. I always say like the American dream is it's not real.
It's a facade,
it's
for
like,
sure.
but not in the way. There's like this way of thinking of it, like this. It's this evil thing. It's not intentionally evil or bad. It's just this. It doesn't exist, and so there's this constant attempt to get to something that doesn't exist, and you just never get there. And so people are searching for that, and like you said, they're never in the moment that they're in. And I think human beings, there's been millions of years of evolution of us being in the moment where we've gone out, we maybe hunt, we all sit around a fire, whatever, we eat and we talk and we have those moments at the end of the day. Maybe there's some stressful times when we're being ran at by a tiger or whatever, which there was a tiger in Rochester, by the way. I don't know if you saw
Was that real? I thought that got debunked.
Was it fake?
I don't know.
This is the second fake story I've told on this podcast. I'm going to just start telling random fake stories and spreading conspiracy theories now.
Did you hear Warren Buffett died?
No, Warren Buffett died too, yeah.
In real life or for fake?
Sure.
Oh, no.
Both. But like, I feel that all those techniques and things that you're talking about are an attempt to
reestablish a connection between one's own inner vastness and the world around them.
Right. And it's very difficult. And I think especially artists and musicians long for that, I feel like, more than than other people.
Well, hear me out.
Yeah.
There is an incredible dissonance that I think is worth observing between the artists that create art or music. And when I say artists, I mean creatives, creators. There's an interesting phenomenon between people who are talking about flow state and accessing flow and having flow and owning flow to get through your day, which is very ironic because it's still very ownership based. But flow isn't something that you can have, tap, or access. It's a state of being. And if our state of being is always in our head and we're always trying to prepare, we're not in flow state. Flow can't happen if we're clenching to how things should be. And if we are so convinced that things should look a certain way, sound a certain way, be produced a certain way, then we're not really open to the margin of magic that happens when in creation process. And artists have a way of being that's kind of like, maybe I would call it the daydream or the abstract, or a musician might just kind of be staring off into space for a while. But that's where the synthesizing happens between the heart and the head and the imagination. In those quiet moments, between moments, an artist's brain can be completely limitless for what seems like an eternity, because when you're really here, present in mind and body with the people in front of you, you can access anything. And I have found myself moved to tears over the ordinary by just being here in my body in the present day that I'm in. And for a lot of people in our culture who are so pressed with this urgency mindset, got to get the next thing done. I already need to be moving to the next thing or I'm late. Us quantifying our time all the way down to the dollar or the penny doesn't leave a lot of room for structured daydreaming. So who really is out of place here? Is it the artist or is it the culture we've created? Just a question. There's no real answer. Artists have a way of being.
Do you, so I question this sometimes, right? So here's something that I think about often. and as a matter of fact, Allie and I had this conversation maybe 2 nights ago. She pointed to we have yellow pillows on the couch here, and there's the pink or whatever. If you want to cut to this wide thing, so there's the the pink or colors here, right? And we're all perceiving color, let's say, right? And I say this is orange, and you can agree, okay, that's orange, right? And we can be in agreement on that. But I've established certain parameters around what orange means, and so have you, and we can both be in agreement on what orange means. However, you can be actually seeing it different than what I'm seeing, but we can still be in agreement on the word orange being that, but you're seeing it differently than I am.
Isn't that wild?
And the reason I say that, or I bring that up, is because I question whether or not I don't want to separate creative people necessarily from people that are not creative completely.
Because all people are inherently creative.
Right. I think
some people are in touch and some people are out of touch.
Right. And I think maybe there's just a disconnection there, or it hasn't been nurtured, like that part of them. But there's, like you said, there could be moments of almost like being brought to tears by the beauty of something very simple. And there was a moment in the recording process the other day at Tone Studios, which this project that we're going to release soon, I can't wait to do that. My backup singer was sitting there, and we were listening to this recording, and there were some harmonies that we had brought to life finally. Like we had worked on them separately from the recording, and they were finally like brought into the recording, and it was just there. And we were listening to it in these amazing speakers, and they were mixed kind of half-assedly, like if that's a word, half-assedly, in the recording. And she just started crying, and she had never been in an actual recording studio, and just, it reminded me of how often I feel that way about things throughout the day, and I wonder whether or not I hate saying like normal people, but like non-creatives feel that way, because I don't think that they do.
I think creative people are highly sentient. I would say that, because you're right, there's not us and then them. It's just us. It's
like
all of us.
Yeah, I think there's like because I think in psychology, right, there's personality traits, right?
Sure.
And you have more of some. People are generally like more of some and less of some, or whatever. But I can't imagine not feeling that, like looking at, I don't know, a sunset or something. I mean, everyone feels that, I guess, about a sunset, right?
Yeah.
Do they?
So that's the thing. That's why Muck Duck focuses so intensely on connection. Because when one is connected to themselves, they cannot help but feel the world around them. Not really. If you picture with me, because I'm a visual person, I'll explain this with some visuals.
Yeah, because you're a painter.
I'm a painter, mostly. But if you picture a point that starts at your chest, and it travels as far out into the galaxies as you could humanly go, past the sun, past the moon, past the Milky Way, it just keeps on going, a point to infinity. That point can turn around in equal measures, go inward to one's own self. In infinity, they can go into themselves, into their own inner peace, or their own inner existence, where they go in deep enough, where at some point things are no longer relatable because they're just in utter silence. The good kind, the safe kind. Some people call it the void. Some people are really afraid of that. And others have found it a great comfort. One's inner depths is where we pull art from. We pull from the inside and then release it into the outward. That's art. It's us reaching inside to, like if our heart literally was a purse and you could reach in and pull out an item and put it into the world, that is art. That is music. That is painting. And when one is connected to themselves, you can't be disconnected out here. But if you're disconnected to yourself, all you have everywhere is a slight degree of disconnect. Because some people go out and they looking for all the answers outside of themselves. Are you the answer? Are you my success? Are you my next partner? Are you my next? That's the urgency culture. What's coming up? What's coming up next? What's next? And so when a person pauses and they're like, wait, maybe in this really cool basement right now, literally right here, we have everything we need to make magic, create connection, and drive a culture in the world around us that we really want seen in the world. I mean, everyone says be the change you wish to be, but like for real, what's that mean? What's that look like?
I like the way you said that. Too.
It's important. Like, if I expect peace in my own life, but I'm going around to everyone else and I'm demanding, I'm critical, I'm mean, all I'm creating is more division. You can't criticize someone into being better, doing better, or being smarter. That's just not the answer. And so anytime an artist reaches into themselves and they reach in with anger, I mean, if you go in deep enough, you're eventually met with your own compassion. And then that brings just a whole new... It's like a snake that sheds its skin. When I go in, if I'm crusty on the outside and I am a miserable grouch, I usually need a couple hours of alone time in a quiet place to paint. I shed a layer of skin and I'm like a whole new person. And that's really important because I think some people don't know how to get out of the stuckness. They don't know how to get out of the ick on their own. And so I'm not saying other people are the answer, but it can help to have a friend who will walk side by side with you through life. Because art is really just a way of living life. Writing music is about singing lyrics that mean something to you. And then think about this. How many of the people you know listen to your songs also sing the lyrics that you wrote in their car while listening to the track?
Yeah.
That's a mantra. That's no different than like a prayer. But you might be secular, so maybe music and art is the closest we can get to prayer because that's the place where it's the safest. And my mantra some days just sounds like, Casey, don't be an asshole. Like on repeat, don't be an asshole, don't be an asshole. Like, be nice, you know? And a compassionate world can be had when people have inner worlds that are compassionate. And that, I know, that I would put money down. Yeah. For sure.
So let me ask you a question. So, and I have not had the opportunity yet to ask someone who is visually impaired this question, and maybe you have come across someone that's visually impaired. So when I brought up the topic of the color, the reason I brought that up is because I've thought about this since I was a little kid. I was like, and I must have come across someone that has actually been completely blind as well from birth. But my thought is, if someone is blind from birth, when they dream, right, when they fall asleep and they dream, is there a visual aspect to their dreams when they dream? And then if they're dreaming, are they imagining what it is like to see? And then is their mind coming up with what it's like to see? And then I'd like to see what their mind is coming up with, what it's like to see, if that's what it's like, if you get what I'm saying.
Sounds like you have a high degree of empathy.
Like, I'd like to see what you think of as orange, because it might not be what I'm thinking of as orange. And I'm do you think that's what it is? Do you think it's empathy?
Empathy has a cute little slogan in my world. Empathy, put yourself in the place of me. You're imagining infinitely what it would be like to have vision impairment, which I think is great, because unless you wonder what other people go through in a way that you would never, how are you ever going to experience the world outside your own perspective?
Yeah.
You could call that closed-minded, or you could call it boring, whatever you want. I know I love a wide variety of perspectives, because otherwise I'm bland. I am nothing without the spice of variety. I have met quite a few. I've got quite a few close friends who are either vision impaired, fully blind, or somewhere along that spectrum, really, from all over the world, too. It's really great. And I've actually never asked them about their dreams, but now I'm definitely going to. And
because the reason that comes up too in my mind is because I know that, you know, there are musicians that were able to hear and then lost their hearing, and so they have an understanding of what the music sounds like before, and then write music, so they have some memory of what the music sounds like. But if you were deaf from the time you were born and were to write music, you'd be imagining what music sounds like, and what is the imagining of what music sounds like. Like what does that feel like in your, you know what I mean?
Visceral. You can just picture a bass amp turned up to 100.
Yeah, like what is that?
It's all physical,
yeah, I'd
visceral
love
vibration.
to like know what that, I don't know. That's off topic a little bit. Yeah. And speaking of feeling music, you have an interesting instrument over there. I know I'm looking at the clock too. But I could talk to you, Casey, for hours. So, and I've said this to a few guests here, but I would like to have you back, and maybe. And I know when you first came down the stairs here, you said a few people asked if this was portable, this studio. And I'm working on a version of this that could be with like a little wall that can be moved around, and these cameras are definitely portable. So we're working on this. This can move and all that stuff. But I'd love to come to Muck Duck and maybe do something there. So maybe we do that, and we do a second one where we explore your space. Maybe we even do some handheld camera stuff. But what's that little guy you got over there? And are you willing to play something today?
Yes, please.
For us?
I play the handpan.
All right, the handpan.
I like to say Trinidad did it first. They made the steel drums. And then, in theory, Sweden took the steel drum, turned it inside out, made it one key, and created the handpan.
All right. So before we cut to the close-up camera, let's cut to this guy. All right. I'm starting to get a little upset with you guys here. Okay. I know there's some of you out there that watch, that listen, and you haven't hit the subscribe button. And I've talked to your parents now. I've talked to your schools, and I've talked to your guidance counselors. And they're all in agreement that you should definitely be subscribed at this point. We're adding one demerit to your report cards until you subscribe. As soon as you subscribe, we'll remove them. I mean, I think that's fair. It's only fair. And then you'll get a gold star.
Give me a gold star.
We'll all be set. No, please subscribe. And we do have a Patreon. As little as $1 a month can help keep this channel alive. So do that. Up to, I think it's like $10 or something like that. And you get your name at the end of the episode, all that kind of bullshit. And we have hoodies and t-shirts and that sort of thing too, that you can buy to help support us. And are we ready to get some music on? All right, I've talked enough. Please do that and help us continue to do this and bring on awesome people and artists and songwriters and just amazing people that we get to have on the show, and let me be selfish and be able to talk to amazing people more, and you guys be able to watch those conversations happen. So Casey, you want to show them what you're working with over there?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see it.
How's the audio? It's kind of an incredible instrument.
chat. So you're up.
It might be my ride.
Oh, is it? I think Casey's ride is here. It's all right. Keep going. Keep going. I fell into a little bit of a trance there, Casey. Someone's at the front door. You mind if I sing with it?
Go for it, please. Or guitar.
What key is it in?
D minor.
I love D minor. live fade out.
Live.
Fuck yeah.
I was going to start doing some poetry over that because
I want one of those.
Yeah.
For Christmas, that's what I want.
I could get lost in that for hours there. Casey.
Me too.
Unfucking believable. Who was that at the door?
Oh, it's your ride.
Oh, was it? Okay.
It's
like-
He brought. I know what that.
Wait, why
means.
didn't he could have came down.
No, it means he brought my other friends with him to be.
Well, they could have came down.
No, I had
That's
him
fine.
come because he was at the front door. I said, just come to the garage. So they didn't run out, but he said his friend was in the car, so he was going back because I invited him.
Oh,
I know
okay.
what that
Well,
means.
that's
It
all right.
means that he brought an entourage just to pick me up.
Okay.
I have the
Well, they
best
can all come
friends.
down.
That's all right.
No, you don't want that. Spare yourself.
That's all right. That's fine. But Casey,
Thank you so much.
unfucking believable.
Yeah.
First of all, and we'll have to have an uninterrupted version of the performance as well at some point. Maybe when we come to Muck Duck, we'll have an all circle. We'll have like a circle thing going on of a bunch of instruments, and we'll
That's
get
kind of
into
our
it for a
thing.
bit.
So for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that I know it's in D minor, do you know the movie Spinal Tap?
Not yet.
All right.
Oh.
The saddest of the chords, D minor. That's
Oh,
what-
don't
yeah,
I
it's the
know
saddest.
it? Oh my god!
So I'm glad it's in D minor. Casey.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
having
Yeah,
me.
I'm glad we got a chance to talk because now I know I like you.
It's only been
Yeah,
a matter of time.
I was a little worried. I was like,
Sure.
I might hate Casey. No, I wasn't worried. I knew I liked you from the start. So, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it. This will be out next Monday, I think. Hopefully, if I have enough time. I'm going to be in friggin' Washington
Quick
D.C. this
turnaround.
week. We'll see what happens with all that. I might become president. I mean,
I'm praying
you
for
never
somebody.
know nowadays. You know, I might run. I might run.
Hallelujah. Please, maybe think
Yeah.
about it. Think about
I'm
it.
not 86 though, so you never know. You never know. Yep. Oh yeah. Pat for president.
you go.
Officially starting my campaign now. I mean, I got a chance, right?
Make America normal again?
Got a
I'll
different
take any of it.
different slogan though. Can't associate with all that nonsense. How about what did we say earlier? Flow state or I don't know. Pat for president.
Pat
How about
for
that?
president,
Pat for-
everybody.
Free toilet paper for everyone.
Oh, free toilet paper. You'll never have to rummage through your neighbor's garbage for used toilet paper ever again.
You promise toilet
How
paper
about that,
every
Casey?
night.
You got my
That's
vote.
Thank you for being on the show, Casey. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening. I know your ride is waiting outside with an entourage ready to beat us up in case you're trapped in the basement here. We'll have another show with you on it, maybe at Muck Duck Studios. Everyone, go down, support them. Do you guys take donations, anything like that?
So on a link on our website, muckduckstudio.org.
muckduckstudio.org. We'll post the link in the description of the video, along with any other links that Casey wants us to post. Beautiful instrument. Looks kind of like a turtle.
Yeah, or a UFO,
Yeah.
depending on who
Yeah,
you ask.
yeah, either or. I mean, aerodynamically, it might need to be a little smoother on the top. But for a turtle,
Pretty neat.
excellent turtle. Excellent turtle.
Yeah. Thanks,
Allie.
But have you ever seen a UFO?
I've been abducted many times.
Is that why you thought it was?
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching episode number 27. I think right next week, or maybe who knows if we even have a guest next week. Who's next week's?
Rin. Our friend
Rin.
Rin.
Rin will be on.
We love Rin.
Rin was very nervous, so we'll see
Oh, Rin's gonna
how
do
this
fine.
goes. Yeah,
Rin's on
that'd
the
be-
low key brilliant.
that'd
Rin
be-
comes
yeah.
to Muck Duck.
Yeah. Don't worry, we got plenty of excellent guests coming up. Casey, thank you again.
You're welcome.
Keep subscribing, keep telling your friends. See you on the next one, guys. Bye.